Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Tom here. We have a guest that you probably heard of. You've probably seen on Facebook, Instagram, doing those ads. But you know what, guys? This is going to be special because we're not going to be talking about product research today, all right? Because you probably know Casey by product research, PPC, and this and that. But we're going to talk something a little bit deeper, something that is the most important thing, in my opinion, that Casey would not be where he is today without it. And that is having that drive, having that mindset, that entrepreneurial spirit. So Casey, welcome to the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing amazing.
Awesome, man. Hey, congrats on the big news last week. You want to tell people what happened?
Thank you. Yeah. So Viral Launch, we just closed our Series A. We raised $7.3 million to help us, really take things to the next level.
I had the honor to invest $50 of my money into the company. So hopefully that one day that $50 will turn into, $5 million. That's probably not going to happen, but
quite the return.
Yeah, that would be quite the return. The greatest investor of all time. Okay, awesome. So Casey, look, man, you've done something incredible over the past few years, and it might seem like a dream. It almost seemed too fast. It's like, what the hell just happened? It's like a blur. Like, you can probably still remember the day where you started this in your home in the winter nights in Indiana, coding with gloves on, socks on, not even gloves, socks with socks on. And now you're in this office with 70 employees, raised $7.3 million in your Series A. First of all, congrats. You're an inspiration to a lot of us. But can you talk to us more about kind of the beginning, okay? Because I see a lot of people that are on this massive level now, but it all started from the beginning. We all started at one point, all of us, even in the people that are watching this right now, listening to this, in the chat box that I'm doing this live right now with some of my students. You came from nothing, dude.
Yeah. I look back at the three most important things that have kind of helped me get to where I am. Number one is like a hard work ethic. My dad was somebody that just works really hard and kind of just ingrained in me that a lot of things don't come easy. And if you work hard enough, great things can happen. And even in high school, like growing up, I was like, one of the good examples I feel like in my mind is sports. So I wasn't like naturally that athletic, right? But I just worked like so much harder than everybody else. And in high school, this is silly, but I was like the number one rated 300 hurdler in the state in our division. And like my freshman year, nobody knew my name. My coach didn't know my name because like I just wasn't an athlete, right? And I just like worked really hard. And that is absolutely one of the biggest factors in, where Viral Launch is today. Is like, even today, I just work insanely hard. It sucks. You sacrifice a lot to do that. And, it hurts a lot of the time, when you're not sleeping well or you're not eating, because I like have worked so hard. I have this sickness where if I basically don't take medicine every day, then I'll just get sick and just throw up throughout the day. Like I've had to pull my car over to like throw up. And even still, like I can't do cardio too much or else I'll throw up. So like, it sucks. Like, there's a lot of like sacrifice that comes with that hard work. So I think a lot of people would say that they're hard workers, but I really question kind of like every minute spent and feel guilty if I'm not like actively working hard. And I try to look to people around me as like, well, if this person's working harder than me, I'm not working hard, right? So that's number one. Number two is like kind of believing in yourself, like believing that something is possible. So like my mom kind of always believed in me and, always thought all my cool ideas were good ideas. And I think believing in yourself and taking that risk has always been huge for me. And then number three, which is, really defining to, I think, my personality, is like, I grew up in like a rough situation and I've picked up multiple family members from jail multiple times, or like just seen and experienced a lot of like, tough stuff. And, I've seen my mom have multiple cars repossessed. We moved around a lot because be evicted or whatever, and just seen a lot of like really difficult situations. And that has made me like really care about people. I feel like, we're one bad decision away from, ending up in jail for a year. Right. Mm-hmm. And like, I think it allows you to be like really empathetic with people and want to help them get out of their situation, because that you're just a couple bad decisions away from being in that situation. Or, had I not have been as lucky or whatever, like I'd be in that same exact situation. And so like, I feel like that's the recipe for what's made me who I am, which has kind of led to like where we are.
Mm-hmm. What you said is not a secret. Everybody has heard this before, like, hard work. Like you probably go on YouTube and look at motivational stuff and that's people say, and you're like, yeah, like I'm motivated. But like, what do you think is holding people back from applying that hard work day in, day out consistently, even on the days that they don't feel like doing it. Because in my opinion, that's really the difference between someone successful versus someone, I mean, everybody defines their own success. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that having I'm not saying that Casey is successful because he has 70 employees, but I'm saying Casey's successful because he knew what he wanted, and every single day he put in the work, and his vision grew bigger. You don't have to have 70 employees. I don't want 70 employees. So I'm not saying success is based on that. But what do you think is the number one reason people are held back from actually taking action?
I think I don't have all the answers, but the two things I would say is, one, people feel like they deserve like breaks, or they deserve to take a couple of days off because like they worked hard or whatever. And so I think people like find excuses as to why they shouldn't like work that hard. And which kind of brings me to point number two is like, I feel like people aren't honest enough with themselves around like, I honestly could work harder. I'm just not, I don't feel like it. Like I kind of want to just like take the night off or something. And they like make these excuses. So that's like maybe kind of one and the same. And I think something that would help everybody, because, you know, I have family members and friends that aren't like as ambitious or willing to work as hard. And I think that just if you surrounded yourself with people that were pushing themselves that hard, right? The saying, you're the average of your 5 closest friends. But like, there's friends who, oh, it's okay to not eat healthy and let's joke around about eating junk food and like how funny it is that I don't ever exercise and all this stuff, right? Well, those types of friends aren't pushing you to be better, right? But if you have the friends that like, not in an unhealthy way, but like judge you because you're not being your best self, and judging you because like, oh, you know, you took the whole weekend off and just like played video games or something like that. Those friends that are going to hold you accountable, I think, are like super important, because those people are going to be honest with you, and they're going to cut through your excuses and say like, yeah, no, you just felt like being lazy. I worked 20 hours this weekend, right? Or so. And I think some people are just self-motivated and it's self-driven. And I think I'm very fortunate to be one of those people. When you're not, again, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to put yourself in those situations in which you have no choice but to be honest with yourself and to put in the work.
Yeah, I want to touch on a couple of points, because I really feel like some people, like you came from absolutely nothing, like based on what you just said, that your mom's cars get repossessed and getting kicked out of, like, I can't imagine even like to begin how that feels, especially when you're a kid. Maybe you didn't really understand it, but I'm sure you did up to a certain point. And I kind of had the same story where my parents came from China, and like my mom washed dishes, like she was a dishwasher. It wasn't a very fun time. I want everybody who's listening to this right now to realize one thing. Like, you might feel bad for yourself where you're at in life right now. You can have all the excuses in the world, but I can tell you one thing. There are probably thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who are in a worse position than you, who said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to take action, and then I'm going to hold myself accountable. And they just became successful. So it's not about your current situation. It's not about who you are today or who you were yesterday. That's gone, man. Like, we can't go back in time. That's gone. What are you going to do right now in the next 5 minutes, in the next 10 minutes? You guys who are on the call today, there's 35 of you. You guys made a decision to come on this call because you're like, you know what? I want to learn. Like, I want to be learning right now with everybody in this room, with Tom, with Casey. Like, that's a choice that you made today to better yourself. And if you consistently make those small choices, it will add up. It will add up. Like, it's a compound effect. Did you ever feel like success came like really fast? Like everything was kind of like a blur almost?
I'd say over the last couple of years that I've had that, but it took 5 years of trying in order to 5-6 years of trying in order to get to like one of those blur moments, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the things I did, I don't think I've ever told you this, but like I've always tried to hustle, right? Like I always try to make some money here and there, like paper routes, lemonade stands, like all that stuff. And I remember when I was like 13, 14, I went to Las Vegas to help my dad with a trade show. He was working for a company that had a trade show there. So basically I was there, and like last day of the trade show, everybody's trying to get rid of their stock, right? Like no one wants to bring, samples home. So everybody was trying to sell samples. And I saw this watch company from New York, these brothers from New York, selling these like big diamond watches. And I was like, you know what? Like, I think there's a market for that, right? There's like rappers, hip hop, whatever. I never seen watches like that. And then I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, can I borrow like $300? He's like, what do you want it for? He's like, I want to buy these watches. So I gave the guys cash. I bought like 50 watches, right? I put in my suitcase. The customs didn't even check these watches. Dude, I don't know how I got through customs. Like, now I think about it, it's like, how did that customer officer not like pull me aside, be like, what the hell are you doing with 50 blinged out watches, Anyway, I got through customs and I came home and I'm just like, I put them in a luggage, right? I put them in luggage. I dragged them to downtown Vancouver and like I walked out to people who I thought were like my target market. I'd be like, yo, you want to see these watches, dude? Like I'll sell them to you for $25.
That's awesome. Did you sell the watches?
Yeah, I sold all of them. But
Oh, shoot.
yeah, I got like a night market stand, like did some sort of like consignment deal with my buddy who had a night market stand. Yeah, it was, but like you said, I mean, that's didn't turn out to be a multi-million-dollar business. Maybe it made like $500, but it's those small little experiences that shaped who you are today.
Absolutely. You know, before Viral Launch, I look at myself as someone that like I've failed or I've had a lot more business failures than I've had success. And so I like in my mind, I still see myself as that person that has like failed at a bunch of businesses and like one of them worked. So I don't look at myself as like that person that just knows how to come in and just like kill it in business. It's like I failed a lot to get here. And I also think that people like might get turned off because they didn't sell their watches, right? And then they're like, you know, it's not for me. But like something that entrepreneurship has taught me, and honestly being in this space has taught me, is like pretty much anything that you want, like you can have it if you work hard enough and if you really like focus and have no excuses on how to get there or like how to get whatever you are trying to get. Like that's the coolest thing about entrepreneurship is like, I would say typical people like say, oh, you know, there's a brick wall in front of me, right? So like, okay, I can't get on the other side of the brick wall. That's cool. Like I wanted to. But entrepreneurs are like so focused on like, okay, can I go around it? How can I go through it? How can I go over it? And they just focus on solving the problem.
No, absolutely. And back to what you said about failures as well. Like one of the analogy I like to use sometimes. So let's say like a dude, like he wants to go on a date, but he doesn't have anybody to go on a date with. And like, he wants to go to a bar and like pick up your chick, right? But if I were to tell him like, hey, only the 10th girl that you talk to tonight, only the 10th one, not the 9th, not the 8th, only the 10th one will be the one that you can go on a date with. What do you think he will start doing in that moment? He will start talking to girls.
I see what you're saying. So I think some people would say like, oh, well, that's a lot of girls that I have to talk to. So like, I'm not interested. But I see what you're saying. Like you're saying, oh, because there's in the world where there's a lot of unknowns, like it's hard to know if it's worth going after or not. But if you told someone you're actually going to land a girl, then you would be more willing to go through it. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like you're guaranteed to go on a date with that girl, but she has to be the 10th. So there's 9 rejections before then. Dude, any guy would be like, okay, I'm just going to get rejected because I know for sure that the 10th is the one I can go on a date with. But that's kind of similar with entrepreneurship because so many people are afraid to talk to even that first girl. That 10th one is the one that they can actually go on a date with. But they're so afraid to even just go up and get rejected again. Because I think, no one have like maybe 0.0001% of entrepreneurs hit it big the very first try they did. Like everybody went through rejections. But the more you rejected, the more failures you had. And one of the things, I want to share this real quick. But one of the greatest lessons I learned was through my old job where I made 100 calls a day for 2.5 years. Okay. 100 cold calls a day. It was just every day, like boiler room style, boom, 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 let's go. Right. And one of the greatest lessons I learned through that job was it was a numbers game because on the days I could pick up the phone, I could get one sale, right? I'm happy. But then on the days that I call 100 people, I don't get that one sale. I know that next sale is so close to coming. It's super, super close. You know what I mean? And I just feel like that's applicable to entrepreneurship, to Amazon, to product launches. Like just because one failed or your business failed or this failed, you're that much closer to that win.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And that win will make all the other failures like super small, that it will be all worth it at the end in terms of monetary or this or that. It doesn't matter what it could be.
Right. Again, I had examples where I took a bus all the way to Chicago because there was like this startup weekend and I was trying to pitch one of my ideas. And
when was this?
This is like, I was still in college. So a couple of years, like a year or two before Viral Launch. Okay. And so this is when I was like just trying to enter the business space. I go to this thing and I'm like 19, 20 years old and I get up in front of everybody and like I'm sweating so bad and my voice is like so shaky and I get like 10 words out, right? And like, and they probably didn't even make sense. And like nobody voted for my idea, but I went and I just met up with this guy that someone introduced me to kind of online. and like I slept on this guy's floor and I took a train. Like these are some of the like I had to carry like all my stuff with me. So I had a couple of changes of clothes and I'm walking like a mile. Looking now, first off, nobody sees that, right? And second off, like I don't think about that and I don't feel that pain. And honestly, I'm glad that I did it because I learned a lot. And had I not have done those things, like I wouldn't be here. So there's a lot of times where you're going to feel silly in the beginning, right? And you're going to have a product idea and you're going to go to Tom and Tom's going to point out 5 reasons why it's not a good product idea. You're going to feel, your initial response is going to be to feel dumb and like, oh, I should have thought of that or whatever. But like, that's just one little stepping stone. And like Tom said, the next call, you're that much closer to getting the answer, or maybe you're that much closer to getting the right answer or whatever.
So what pushes you, like, because right now when I follow on Instagram, like you're working on weekends, you're working until 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Some people might say, oh, it's unhealthy and this, but what like gets you going now? What's keeping the car running and at a faster rate?
So there's a couple of things. I think one, Gary Vee talks a lot about gratitude. I think sometimes it's a little hard to believe from him or feel for him, but like that's honestly how I feel as well. Like, again, so a bunch of people in my family are still like really struggling. And I just look around at like how thankful I am for where I'm at. And like, I see Viral Launch as this vehicle of helping people. And so basically like, I'm pretty religious. And so like, I see like Viral Launch as like this blessing. And I also just see like where I'm at as like this incredible opportunity. And I think about like a good person, let's just say quote unquote good person, would like do everything in their power to take this blessing or to take this opportunity to help other people. And like they wouldn't be selfish enough to just like do whatever they want. And like, because I think about it a lot, like during the tough times, I could build a business where I just have a ton of cash coming in. I have other people handling everything for me. I'm not working hard. I just outsource everything, no headaches, right? But like, that's not what allows me to impact the most amount of people. That's not what allows me to take much of the opportunity in front of us as possible. Like the last thing I want to do is look back 10 years from now and say, wow, if I wouldn't have been so selfish, or if I wouldn't have spent so much time on Netflix, we would have been able to impact hundreds of thousands of people versus hundreds of people or something like that. And frankly, I just feel guilty if I'm not focused on improving myself or improving the business. And that's what like really, really keeps me going, is just that guilt of knowing that I'm that guy that was 4 years ago, couldn't afford heat and was just like doing all kinds of things to make a little extra money. I was given this incredible opportunity to help tens of thousands of entrepreneurs. And like every minute I'm not doing that, I'm like just taking for granted what's been given to me.
I had a call with someone in my mastermind. Actually, I introduced him to Lindsay, but he brought up a lot of clarity for me because I was a little lost with like which direction I wanted to go in terms of Amazon business and coaching and this and that. And he brought up a lot of clarity. And I think at the end of the day, it's just staying grounded to who you are. Like, there's a lot of noise in our space right now, not just in our space, everywhere we see. Everybody's trying to grab our attention. I'm talking about like everybody. I'm talking about Instagram, Facebook. I'm talking about everything you go out and see. It's trying to grab your attention. And then we're giving our attention to them. And so we're like here, then here, then here, then here, then here, like everywhere. And ultimately, like we lose who we are as a person, like deep inside. And basically the result of the call was like, stay grounded to who you are, like set that anchor. Like pretend you're like a lighthouse. The right people will come to you. You don't have to go chase after the other people because they're probably not the people that are going to make you happy anyway. But he basically said like, Tom, you have this messaging, like you should express it to the world because that's like what you enjoy doing and this and that. And one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, it's like success is not really just about you. Literally just based off of your side, you're like, what the hell is he going with this? But success is not just about you. It's about everybody around you. It's about making an impact for your family, for your kids, for your wife, for your husband, for your brothers, for your sisters, for your mother, for your dads. Those are your close relatives. But it goes even further than that. If I can help someone in my students to make like Amazon changed my life, period. Okay. Like it's literally changed my life. If I can do the same thing for someone else and they can make so much money that they can take care of their family and spend more time with their kids, like it's not just about the person that's operating in this business. It's everybody around that person as well, which is what you just said.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like selfish not to chase after.
You don't have to be doing all this training or teaching and stuff like at least from my perspective, you don't need the money or the fame or, whatever that comes from that. And that's what I think is so cool about like people that teach Amazon to other people is that like the way that you got here is from learning from other people. And if you can reach, I think it's really cool. You focus on reaching these people in Vancouver, kind of from the same roots as you, and are just able to have that impact. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, no, it's going really well. I hope my students are happy. Type in 1 if you're happy. Type in 2 if you. Yeah, that's the end of this podcast, guys. It was kind of a short, sweet one with no other than Casey. Casey, I'm excited to see where you can go with this. I know you guys have reached kind of a pivotal point in your business, a point where you might try to do some other things. I hope you make the right decision. I'm sure God has given you the power to make the right decision. I'm sure he's looking after you as well. And we're all cheering for you. And I'm keeping an eye out on you, man. You might not think other people are looking, but we're always looking up to you as well. So appreciate your time. Appreciate your time, Mr. CEO. And I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. Thanks for the kind words, and keep killing it yourself.
All right. Will do. Thanks, brother.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Hey, thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. I really hope you got a lot of value from this. And if you are interested in watching more, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. And if you've seen it till the end, give your boy a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section down below. And I will see you in the next video.